Good morning, everyone. Today, we're gonna go over a few of the defining characteristics of picking the right watermelon at the store. First things first, I want to go over shape. A very long, elongated melon is going to be kind of watery, so you want one that's very round, compact, and uniform in shape, kind of like a basketball. This is a very round melon itself here, so that's one of the main reasons why I picked this one. It's also very heavy for its size, and weight is another characteristic of picking a good melon. It means that it's full of water and very juicy. Here, the field spot, that's another characteristic. You want a yellow, kind of creamy colored field spot. You don't want one that's white. The yellow means that it was on the vine for longer and ripening it out in the field, so that means you got a very ripe melon. Normally I'd like a larger one, but I guess from the other characteristics, that's the reason I chose this one. You can see all these hatchings here. This is called the webbing, and you want a very large webbing. You don't want small webbing. If this was the only webbing on the melon, I wouldn't have chosen this one right here. But you can see there's tons of webbing, and that means that the melon is very sweet, very ripe. Sometimes they're called sugar spots as well, and that's a sign of the fruit is squeezing out the sugar. Next, you want to look at the color. You want kind of a dark and a dull color. You don't really want a shiny melon. And then these lines here, you want them spaced out quite far. You don't want them very tight together. You want some thicker stripes on it as well. So uniform size, heaviness. You got your field spot, a lot of webbing all over the place, kind of dark and dull. And then also too, you want to knock on it with your knuckles a little bit. And if you kind of hear a dull thud, that means that it's ripe as well. Hopefully when we cut into this, we can see the inside of this melon kind of peeling apart a little bit from the inside. Right from the middle, and that's also a sign of a very ripe melon as well, that the flesh on the inside is kind of starting to gain more sugar and put out more sugar. So I'm also going to show everyone how I cut this. So now you can choose the best melon in the store. Watermelon is one of my favorite fruits, and how I'm going to cut this, I'm basically going to cut it right down the middle. I'll take the halves, I'll put them flesh side down on the cutting board, take off all the rind, and then cube it up and put it into a bowl. So first things first, make a small cut with the tip of the knife, and then I finish cutting this in half. And you can see here that the flesh is starting to kind of pull away from kind of the other fleshy bits. Actually, real quick, let's just try this out. And as you can see, it's super juicy. Oh my God. Super sweet. Very delicious. This is a good melon. First thing we'll do, we'll put it flesh side down. And I like to kind of roll my wrist, right? So only a little bit of the fruit itself comes off. So I'll roll the wrist down, and you obviously want to keep as much of the fruit on there as possible, and this is a super juicy melon, which is nice. So I'm going to roll the wrist down here. Follow that curve. And I love to use watermelon rind as compost. It's just a lot of biomass, a lot of organics, and it breaks down pretty quickly. And I'll take a little bit out of the core. This isn't really necessary. I just want to eliminate as much of the rind or the pith as possible. Perfect. I'm going to get rid of this, and then we can start cutting our melon. So we want to start just to kind of create a flat edge, and we're going to be cutting it into slices as we go. And these non-uniform pieces that don't really form a nice cube, just like to eat as we go. So I like watermelon in a little bit larger chunks, but any size chunks that you prefer, feel free to cut them that way. And this is a really ripe, very, very sweet melon. Used all the characteristics to pick the right one in the store. One of my favorite things, especially during a kind of a hot spell like we're in right now, is a nice bowl of chilled watermelon. Don't quote me on this, but I believe watermelon is, I think it's 98% water. That might be a little bit high, might be somewhere around, I don't know, it's in the 90% of the entirety. So not a whole lot of carbohydrates, but a lot of nice sugars in there as well too. If you're trying to cut back on sweets, watermelon's a great treat for you. Just to still get some sweetness in your life, but not a whole lot of, there's no added sugar to this. So it's sweet initially, sure, but most fruits are. All right, well, this is how to choose and cut a delicious bowl of watermelon. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.